time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Buck Baits,
Better the Hunt,
Rebel 6 Rubs and Seasonings,
Easy Cut,
Limb Walker Game Calls,
Hunter's Blend Coffee,
Packer Max,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Scent Blocker,
Scent Lock,
Copper John,
and Stanislawski Release Aids. Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal podcast, everybody. Host Mike Adams sitting in the cabin tonight with Dan DeFaul here on Father's Day. What is going on, my man?
It is Father's Day. Happy Father's Day.
Hey, back at you, man. Happy Father's Day to you.
You know what? There's nothing better than sitting in the cabin while it's raining outside.
All right. Well, while we're sitting here, let's get our supporters out of the way
Absolutely.
real quick.
Let's take care of our supporters out there. You know what? Today was a great day. Towards a little bit in the afternoon, but it was a great day to get out and do some barbecuing. And Rob Harrell and Rebel 6 Rubs, great place to go. Get some great rubs for any kind of meat, fish, vegetables.
Absolutely.
And if you want to help us out, help them out, go over there. You get 20% off your order if you use the promo code North Journal
at rebel6rubs.com.
Exactly. You know what? We're in June. And we're starting to head towards fall.
102 days to be exact. Not that I'm counting.
Not that you're counting. Nothing like going over to Buck's Baits. Get 20% off your order there if you use the promo code UpNorthJournal, buckbaits.com. And as we're sitting there drinking it right there, get over to Hunter's Blend Coffee. HuntersBlendCoffee.com. Use the promo code capital UNJ for 10% off your order when you check out. And if you look at our page today, he had a song for everybody.
That's right. He had a Father's Day song for everybody.
He did.
Pretty good, too.
Right. So, other than that, I think we're good to go.
All righty. Let me dial up here. Long-distance phone call, and let's get these guys in the house tonight. Hey, what's going on? We got John O'Keefe, and we've got Brad Dreyer in from Georgia, Cartersville, and Dallas, Georgia. What is going on, guys?
Good morning, or good afternoon, I guess it is everywhere. Good evening.
Good morning.
It should be morning. It's all gray and cloudy here in Georgia. I know it's raining and nasty out there where John's at, too.
Did you have a late night last night or something? I mean, I know it's Saturday.
I did, man. The sun hasn't been out very much all afternoon, and, it's just been kind of gloomy Father's Day down here, down south.
Well,
he just got back from Hot Springs.
Okay. Inside joke there.
Right. Well, I usually do a lot of commentating on social media, so I'm always like, good morning or good afternoon. So
there you go. All right. Well, you guys are from Yamaha, the Marine Division. John, you do the public relations with the government side. You do some government work with Yamaha. And Brad, you do some of the social media stuff. So where do you guys want to start tonight? Because I don't know, we already had a fun time before the show started. So
I tell you what. In the bow industry, we have ATA. This year, with COVID being where it's at, and the granddaddy of them all for fishermen and company is coming up, and all I hear about is iCast. But this year, we got a little bit of a difference. Talking about iCast and what changes are they looking at, and what do you think how that's all going to work out? Let's talk a little bit about iCast.
Yeah, iCast is like you said, what ATA is the SHOT Show is the ATA and everything. iCast is the fisherman's paradise when it comes to new tackle, new products, new gear. A lot of the latest innovations and everything go on there. When you see new apparel trends and everything, they'll be usually displayed there. And for the last couple of years, I've gave business seminars, basically talking about digital media and social media and basically how to get the industry to work together to better our sport, really, whether it be in up north or whether it be down south. There's a lot of fishery issues that go on, and John can talk about all the government relations side of things. But a lot of what we do at iCast is kind of bringing the industry together, saltwater and freshwater. It's really an eclectic group of people, if you think about it, because it's the only time of the year where anything like that happens.
With COVID happening and pretty well ruining a lot of things as it has the last 3 months, how are you guys dealing with iCast this year? How's that going to work for you guys?
It's all going digital this year. It'll all be online. It's different for everybody. Everybody's kind of just trying to figure out how to maximize their online presence and their online branding and still keep it a traditional type of convention and still traditional industry. Now, while there won't be as much socializing and some of the after-hour networking going on,
right?
You know, a lot of what I do, you know, digital world and social world, it kind of fits right in for it. So, you know, could be an opportunity to kind of expand it a little bit.
Do you think that's gonna hurt the overall trends of all these shows that are out there that have to do this go virtual thing? And because a lot of things happen and a lot of things get done not at the show but after hours or before hours. How do you think that's all gonna to play out as we go through this?
Oh, I say it all the time to my coworkers. You know, I get more done after hours at iCast than I can do in 6 to 8 months worth of sitting behind my desk. I think it's going to affect everybody a little bit different because iCast is not like a boat show. It's not like a tournament where a lot of people in the industry if we're at a boat show, we're traditionally working with the public and we don't get to see each other and really, you know, talk to a lot of our industry contacts. But at the same time, you know, maybe it's an opportunity to kind of explore new contacts that we didn't have time or didn't have the resources to reach out at during a live show. So, you know, we at Yamaha have worked with a lot of industry partners, whether it be Costa, whether it be Garmin, whether it be Yetis of the world, Contender Boats, you know, a lot of different boat brands out there all have their different initiatives, if you will. And iCast is one of those times where we can all kind of sit down and see how some of our initiatives that we're working on, like John, for example, is working with our Yamaha Right Waters initiative. How do we help spread that message across other demographics and across other targeted audiences? And I think while we may miss that during an in-person show, we may gain, you know, bigger audience online, and that's still yet to be determined.
Okay, and looking at go ahead, John.
I can jump in here real quick. On kind of the government side, we've had a couple of conferences that have had to gone virtual. With the American Boating Congress that
sounded good.
The Marine Manufacturers Association hosts, and then Capitol Hill Oceans Week. And while it was good to be able to continue doing quote unquote the show,
mm-hmm.
I think most folks came away feeling as if there was a lot missing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's that human interaction where, you know, as Brad had mentioned, you just get a lot done when you're not trying to get stuff done.
Mm-hmm.
When you can just be natural and talk with folks, you tend to be able to work things out a lot quicker when people aren't worried about what your angle is.
Yeah.
And so I think they'll start being a pushback on these virtual conferences because you can't do that.
Yeah, that face-to-face, I think, is huge. I know, like, when Danny and I were at ATA, I mean, we've been there for the last, 10 years or maybe more. And when you're talking with people, especially people that we have interactions with, long relationships with, that's the only time of the year you get to see them face-to-face. And it's, you know, when you're doing this virtually, even like what we're doing right now, you know, unfortunately, the way we do this, you guys can't read our faces because you can't see us.
Yeah.
But that's that interaction, that human interaction. You know, shaking hands, as stupid as that sounds, going up and shaking a buddy's hand, it means a lot, you know, for those relationships, I think. But moving forward...
We should do the next show on a boat, by the way. That'd be a lot better to do this on a boat.
Okay, we'll make sure... Danny, get the book out. We're going to put it down for that, okay? You know, but looking at doing these virtually... You mentioned the contacts and reaching new people. What's another positive you see maybe coming out of this that might come out of doing virtual seminars or virtual shows? Either one of you.
You know, the possibility to have your message reached a lot further to folks. I mean, iCast no doubt is an investment. It's an investment whether you're going to represent a brand like myself, or you're bringing your entire brand down there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for some of the tackle manufacturers and everything. I mean, there's people from all over the country and all over the world that are represented at iCast. So I think one of the positives out of this is now that budget is being saved, where you don't have all those travels and those expenses, while some of them, while obviously could have still been paid for, and you may have lost them. You also have the opportunity now now to put that money in those dollars and have them work further for you in the digital world, whether it be, spreading your message in the industry, like what iCast is representing and, working out the industry contact side, or taking that and moving it towards ad dollars.
Mm-hmm. Well, looking at that, obviously a smaller operation, maybe it's what we like to refer to like maybe as a mom and pop shop type, business, where maybe they're making lures and they're trying to bring them down to these shows. They're going to kind of be at that disadvantage because they don't have that big budget to spend, but they still make that show. Whereas like Yamaha, you guys, when you're bringing your gear down, you're bringing your people down, hotels, dinners, the whole 9 yards, you've got a much bigger budget to spend. Do you think it's going to hurt the smaller manufacturers?
Well, keep in mind, too, Yamaha was a mom and pop company 150 years ago, 100 years ago and everything. So while I don't think it'll affect, like, for us and the Costas of the world and everything, you may just see that dollar ad swing, just change a little bit. The smaller companies have an opportunity now to where you have to remember, this is a huge investment in those companies for this one trade show because they can get multiple orders and they can fill a lot of retailers' shops. And
that's right.
I'm sure it is up north. You guys are probably experiencing the same thing we are down here. Have you guys gone to a tackle shop lately?
No, I haven't. I haven't even been in. I've been to one outdoor store in the last 3 months, and I was in and out real quick.
Actually, matter of fact, I was at a Dunham's today, and I tell you what, there is, and this is just an observation, there is not a kayak to be found in the place. And normally, this time of year, it's stacked up on the walls. You can walk all around them. They're all gone.
People are looking for another way to do something.
Exactly. So that was just an initial. I walked in and went, hey, where'd all the kayaks go? They're all gone. You went over to.
Well, you also have to remember a lot of manufacturers, like the kayak manufacturers of the world, the boat manufacturers of the world, even the motor manufacturers of the world, like ourselves. We all were affected by this the virus that went on, and production stopped in a lot of places. So while the demand is there, the shelves are a lot of them are empty. I mean, a lot of the big box retailers, you can't go find your normal type of baits, your normal type of hooks and lures that you'd be throwing this time of year.
Over at the other place, the fishing aisle, the poles themselves are thin. Not gonna lie. Yeah. So you're right. Everybody's been affected. People ran out to find something to do that's cheap. Great value for the money. You can get a thing of worms and a hook and a fishing rod and go do something. And all that's been taken. And now to get it replenished is going to take time.
Yeah.
Well, you make a valid point. It has been a boon for pretty much across the board. Fishing license, state by state, have seen dramatic increases. Even in places where the trend was downward, have seen a spike in the demand for licenses. So
absolutely. You know what? What better way? They tell you to be socially distanced and everything. Get outside. Go sit on a bank. Go sit on a dock. Just get out. And I myself walking 5 miles a day over at the local park. Usually, I have definitely seen an increase in cars in a typical spring, because I normally turkey hunt over there. There was no way I was going to be turkey hunting over there this year because the influx of traffic of walkers, bikers, joggers, cars was just incredible.
So boat ramps look like on Tuesday. Boat ramps are looking like they're a Saturday morning.
Right. Well, you got it. And here in our state, they actually relaxed the people. They were letting them come into the state park and boat ramps without a pass. To encourage people to get outside. So there was that on top of that, which in turn, I guess, would also sell more gear, when they could find it.
I think one of a lot of things that might be missed, and I don't know how they plan on doing this at iCast, it might be that, you know how social media goes with the live shot of whatever, the latest whatever. With it being virtual like that, I think people are going to miss that live shot from so-and-so, whoever it might be, of the latest gadget, latest lure.
Well, what's stopping them?
Well, that's what I don't know. That's what I was going to ask you. I said, you think that's going to totally stop, or are they going to...
No.
Okay.
I think you'll see the ability for them to control a little bit more, but they'll do it in their own offices or do it out on the water, for example. I mean, what better way to debut a brand new product than instead of standing in a convention center, be out on the water with one of the pros that have developed the product or tested the product or anything like that. And obviously, as we all know, doing lives, as long as the service is providing, and you can get good service, it could actually be something that could be very, very beneficial to a lot of brands out there.
Absolutely. We found that out over at the ATA show. The only problem is when everybody jumped on at between 10 and 12, it got a little dicey with your internet service. So, but, you work around that. But, you got 21 days left, 12 hours, 39 minutes, and 39 seconds before the iCast that is going to be online. And obviously, Yamaha is going to be part of that. And what's your focus going to be, message going to be this year for 2020?
Typically, what we do there is not as big as presence as some of the other organizations, because iCast is like a boat show and a Bassmaster Classic type of show, a retail type of show, all put into one, but that's not meant for the general public. So
exactly,
a lot of boats don't fit very well into the building, and instead of that, they what we do is we have a lot of our pros are obviously there talking. We do a lot of the seminar type of speaking series, and then we do a lot of engagement with a lot of press out there talking about new products that we come to market with, or new initiatives like Yamaha Right Waters or Let America Fish. Some of those initiatives. It's a really good time for us as well too. To, like I said previously, is to be under the same roof for 2 or 3 days with all of our pros from around the country, from walleye guys to sword fishing guys, and from king fishermen to bass fishermen, and everything in between. So it's definitely a unique opportunity.
Absolutely. And you know what? We're going to go take our first break, and when we come back, let's talk about the opportunity Yamaha is taking on with sustainability and making a difference in with the marine part of it. And that way we'll let John talk here and talk about the government side of it and what they do for that.
All right, we're going to take a step outside, and we'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has reinvented the way you buy bows.
From now on, you can make the most educated decision possible
by basing your bow choice specifically on your shooting needs and goals.
All you need to do is ask yourself, what kind of shooter am I? What do I want to achieve?
PSE will help find the right category for you.
So, what kind of shooter are you?
Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back. Second segment. We're talking with Yamaha tonight. We're talking with John down in Cartersville, Georgia, and Brad, he is up in Dallas, not to be confused with Texas. He is in Dallas, Georgia.
That's right.
We want to get that straight. So
yeah, well, let's get it straight, and we won't talk about college.
Yes, slightly different places.
Right.
But
you always have to explain that when somebody asks where you're from. I'm from Dallas.
Yeah.
Texas? No. Georgia.
There you go. The other big D, right?
That's right.
But anyways, John, talking with Yamaha, and we've kind of touched on this before, but they've kind of are trying to make a difference in the marine with sustainability and with the program called Right Waters. How about explaining that to everybody out there and giving them an overview of it?
Well, it really goes to the basics of our business. Boating and fishing is all about accessibility. If you don't have access to the waters, if you don't have access to the fisheries, people aren't going to buy boats. And we've learned very quickly that there are folks that would not mind if we had restricted access for boating and fishing. And so Yamaha has been very active in advocacy. And as part of our advocacy, we have also understood that sustainability and conservation play a vital part in that access, i.e., if we're fishing and deplete a stock so that my son isn't going to be able to enjoy it 15 years from now, that's not a good thing. And so we set out about a year ago and created what is now Right Waters, the Right Waters Initiative. And it's built on 4 basic platforms. We work towards clean water, scientific research, habitat restoration, and the fight against the spread of aquatic invasive species. And our hope is that we can contribute to making the marine environment a little bit better.
Exactly, and just a quick tidbit. I'm looking at the website. If anybody wants to know, you go to YamahaOutboards.com, and then up in the right hand corner is sustainability. You click on that, it takes you to another link. It said here on the World Ocean Day in 2019, Yamaha alone collected 2.3 tons of debris from just the Georgia coast. That's a lot,
and there's not a lot of coastline there either.
No, but the neat thing is about what we're doing is we're getting into the communities, and so that particular event, we teamed up with Keep Golden Isles Beautiful, and helped organize. They brought in, I believe it was like 16 other organizations from the coast, and they hit roughly 18 different areas to collect trash. And they were able to, as you saw, the 2.3 tons just in a day.
Exactly. And that's just in one day. Wow.
Yes. We also partner with Keep Tennessee River Beautiful. And if you're familiar with the Tennessee River spans over 4 states. And we have helped and sponsored cleanups with Keep Tennessee River Beautiful. And they produce very similar results. And it's things like that, when you look at some of the problems that our marine environment has, it can be quite daunting, and you couldn't blame someone for going, what's one person going to do to combat this? Well, as these organizations are showing, you can contribute quite a lot.
Yeah, it doesn't take long to start picking up stuff, whether you're on a beach or on a shoreline or in the woods. That's one of the things that we do when we go into the woods. We see stuff, we pick it up, we bring it out with us. And I kind of equate this a little bit. We're familiar with QDMA, Quality Deer Management. There's science. You're trying to protect the species, but you're also working with habitat and things of that nature. So it sounds to me kind of like the same thing, but you're doing it in the marine side. Am I right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And Brad, in the very first Bassmaster Elite stop down in Florida, because of high winds the first couple days, the pros couldn't get out on the water. Well, Brad had arranged for some of our pros to team up with the Matanzas River Keepers, and just in a few hours, Brad, there were 6 of us?
Yeah, 7 including the cameraman.
Yeah, we brought out 500-600 pounds of trash.
Wow.
From out of the mangroves.
920, but John's shooting it.
Half a ton.
Yep. And John, don't let John just fool you. He was out there collecting trash as well.
And that's the thing. You guys just did that in a couple hours, which is awesome. Yep. And that just goes to show you what just a few people can do in a short amount of time. And the more
and here's the great thing is the Matanzas River Keepers, they will tell you if you're one person, if you'll reach out to them, they'll connect you with the river cleanup.
Yeah, a lot of
they'll
people
put you where they need you.
They're right there in St. Augustine. Anybody travels down to Florida, you can reach out to them and you want to go spend a day and see what old Florida used to look like and clean up. There's different organizations out there. I'm sure there are up north as well. Sorry, I just hit my microphone thing. I'm sure there's different organizations up north as well too that always need volunteers.
Everybody needs volunteers, and right here locally, I know we've got a group. They go into the Shiawassee and they go in and they clean that up every year to help the kayakers and a little bit of fishing. You also are going with the controlling the invasive species ways, whether it be from the coral reefs to the Great Lakes, and obviously the Great Lakes in our back door here. With what we have going on here. Can you talk a little bit about what the focus, if you've got a focus up our way?
Well, obviously the Asian Carp are the big boogeyman right now, and we got involved with fighting invasive species, looking at the Asian carp in Kentucky Lake, which is connected to the Tennessee River.
Right.
And, folks, if you saw last summer the videos of where, a boat would go through a certain area and these carp were just flying out of everywhere, that was the Kentucky Lake. We actually took the head of the fight against, or the group that's fighting the carp on the Kentucky Lake. We actually took him up to the Kenai River Classic so that we could put him in front of Senator Murkowski, who was the chairman of the subcommittee that controlled the purse strings to provide money to fight the Asian carp in that area. Necessarily so, most of the government's focus and efforts when it comes to Asian carp has been to keep it out of the Great Lakes.
Yep.
But to the detriment of the other areas. And so as we start tackling this, and you had mentioned the goby and the zebra mussels, there will need to be a focus on those. But what we are trying to do, as well as fight what we do know, is educate our legislators to understand that in pretty much any body of water, you stand a pretty high chance of having something that doesn't belong there.
Right, exactly.
Something that's messing up the ecosystem. And if you don't tackle it in its infancy, it can become something that you can only hope to manage.
And one of the key things you just said is educating, whether it be our lawmakers and getting in front of them and educating them and bringing them up to speed as to, you hear about it a little, but this is the real effects of what's going to happen if you don't get ahead of it or try to do something about it.
Well, and I think, talking about trying to educate our legislators, you had mentioned that. We talked with Chris Horton from the Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation, and that was where they were focusing on, was really hitting these legislators and bringing them out and taking them to events. Maybe it's a fishing tournament, getting them on a boat, or maybe taking them fishing, or on the hunting side, and saying, look, this is where the problem's at, and this is what needs to be addressed. So they really are educated. I mean, can you talk a little bit more about that? Are you guys getting involved in getting legislators out and teaching them?
We are. We, when we were talking in the lead up to tonight's show, part of what I have tried to do is incorporate our pros into the government relations and advocacy machinery. And so Mike Iaconelli is on Capitol Hill 3 times a year. Mark Menendez, same thing. And any opportunity that we have to make our pros available to talk about these important issues, we make sure it happens, because in most offices, there's someone that fishes and there's someone that knows, I know that guy. And if we can't get to the chief of staff or the legislative director, the guy that knows fishing certainly will. And we've had great success getting in front of folks and opening eyes. I won't mention the office, but last summer when we were going around trying to get support for funding to fight the Asian carp, there was an office that the district borders the Hudson River, or Hudson Bay, over by New York City. And when we were talking about the Asian carp, the gentleman just looked at us and said, well, I'm sorry, why would I care about this? You're talking over in Tennessee and Kentucky and Mississippi. Why should I care about that? And when we pointed out the Asian carp were actually moving east, and that if they got into the Hudson Bay, the hundreds of millions of dollars that have been spent to repopulate oysters in the Hudson Bay and clean the bay would be for naught, because there's a certain species of carp that feed on oysters and mussels and anything with a shell. And it was at that point that he realized, this does relate to me. And so it's a long journey, but it's one that we have to take.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, whether it's a legislator or whether it's just a person in another state, say, well, that doesn't affect me. Why do I care? They don't realize that it could and probably will at some point affect them later down the road. You just got to
something you guys haven't talked about is the economic impact as well too. What the industry has on those markets and on those bodies.
Exactly. You know, that's another big key in all this is the economic impact of monies flowing in, flowing out, or being depleted, or you gotta help the cause here, or something's going to go drastically wrong.
Well, you know, for example, in Michigan, the tourism dollars in the summer, the wrong invasive species in a marine environment in Michigan could be devastating to the local economy, to the state economy.
Absolutely. Well, these states, the state up here, or the cities up here, they've got 3 months out of the year to make their money in the summer when it comes to the marine side, basically. Whether it's with bait, whether it's with tackle, fuel for boats, or boats themselves and things of that nature. Renting a dock slip. And if, like you said, if one thing comes in and messes that up, that's taken away, 25%, or probably maybe even more if that's what their sole business is in.
Very true.
And that's the thing. And Yamaha is getting in front of that with the right waters, getting in front of the government officials to help out with that. And I think just spreading the word, what you guys there at Yamaha are doing, Brad on the social media side, getting that word out. And it's like, it's one of those things that you find a company that you deal with that cares about their employees, cares about everything. And then they show that even more so about the customer by doing initiatives such as the sustainability or the government getting them out there. Look, folks, the coastline, let's get out and clean it, and we're going to help you do it, and they get out there, and like you guys did. You couldn't get out in the water to fish, but lo and behold, you guys were picking up trash, so you were still helping. And, that's awesome.
Well, I think you're looking right here. We got just a second before we go to break, but looking at, we're really preaching to the choir, people who are watching the show tonight. I guess my challenge is for everybody that's listening is like, well, what can I do? You know what? Next time somebody brings up the fact, well, I don't fish. Why does it affect me? Whatever. You know what? Get a hold of them and invite them to go out with you and clean up a river, clean up a state park, do something else, and show them why the sportsmen and women of the nation here really are the ones that do give back. We get a bad rap a lot of times. They say, well, they just take. They don't put back. We're restoring habitat, whether it's in forests or whether it's in the marine areas. We're using science to better the species. We're using solid game and wildlife management to make sure that we don't, take too many of that species. So I think we got to get that out.
Just to hit on that, through the purchase of fishing license, anglers contribute over $1.5 billion a year to conservation projects throughout the states. Those are projects that aren't taking tax dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because anglers are buying fish license.
And that's B with a billion.
Not a million, but billion. All right, I tell you what, let's go ahead. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll continue the conversation here. We'll step outside real quick, and we'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Welcome back. Third segment of the show, talking all good things Yamaha tonight. A lot of good discussion on the government side, talking about what's going on, what they're doing to help all of us out in our local streams, rivers, lakes, and what have you. Up here in Michigan, we deal with that a lot. As far as the rivers and things, I don't want to badmouth a company, but we got a big chemical company that sits right on one of the rivers, and that's been a big problem for years here. And they've done a pretty good job at trying to clean those things up. We've had a lot of industry that sits on these rivers as well. Looking at that, John, are we really making good progress across the board with what's going on now, or are we still got a long way to go?
Well, it depends on what what aspect you're talking about. If you're talking about the plastics issue, we've got a long way to go. Every year there's roughly 17 billion tons of plastic 17 billion pounds, not tons, plastic that enter the oceans every single year. Right now, there's a pound of plastic for every 3 pounds of fish.
Wow.
In the ocean. And if we don't correct this problem by 2050, it's going to be 1 pound of plastic for every 1 pound of fish. Ugh. If it even can get to that point, chances are you'll have a complete collapse before it got to that point.
How do we deal with something on that magnitude, especially when we're not the only culprits of that, when we're dealing with so many other countries that are dumping pollutants into the oceans? Absolutely.
But this is where the approach of everyone can contribute. We actually, in fact, Right Waters was born of us trying to figure out how we could contribute to cleaning up the plastics in the ocean. Mm-hmm. And we actually will be releasing or going online with a trash interceptor in the fourth quarter. But we're not thinking that we've got the golden key.
Mm-hmm. And John, explain to them what that trash interceptor is. Don't just say that. You have to explain to them what it is. Guys, it's really cool.
I was going to get to that, but that's not going to be the final solution. It's going to be part of the solution, mm-hmm. along with the things that everyone has come up with. But our approach, if anyone has been to Baltimore, in Baltimore, Maryland, mm-hmm. There's what's called the Mr. Trash Wheel. And it sets in the harbor and it collects trash and debris before it can actually get into the harbor.
Okay, Danny's got it called up right now. Showing it
I think that's what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Does it got the sunglasses on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're looking at the right one there.
That's pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
And so we have partnered with Clearwater Mills, who was the company that came up with this idea. And we are in the process of building our own trash interceptor and our own approach to dealing with plastics. And instead of being in the harbor, we're going to focus on storm drains.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice.
We're going to try to collect the plastic before it gets into the water system. There's what's called the first flush here in the South, which basically refers to you get one of those mad thunderstorms mm-hmm. that dumps a lot of water. Well, 90% of any trash and plastic that gets into your water system happens immediately after that mad dump of water.
So it's rushing down into your storm sewers and then hitting out into the creeks and everything else. I got you.
Yep. And so what we are trying to show is if you grab this before it gets into the water system, it can have a dramatic impact mm-hmm. on everything downstream. And like I said, that should be going online in the fourth quarter.
Nice.
So that's something that you're going to start seeing here in the States in different areas? Or where's it going to be the first place it's going to be targeted?
Well, I mentioned Keep Golden Isles Beautiful a little earlier with the community cleanups. Uh-huh. We will be situating the very first trash interceptor in Brunswick, Georgia. We've already got the location picked out and all the necessary permits, etc. So it literally is down to the final engineering parts and go from there.
Oh, that's awesome. And Brad, you're going to be live streaming it on social media, aren't you? You're the social media guru there.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll probably be down there. I mean, that's a beautiful area of Georgia. And, our headquarters is in Kennesaw, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. So, when John and some of the higher-ups started working on this, they wanted to kind of do this one as a kind of a guinea pig. And I know we're looking at some different options, and John could probably explain a little bit better with this, but you can't just put this anywhere. You want to put it in an area that's going to maximize the most impact on it. And whether you're freshwater, saltwater, in a lake, in a pond, in a river, in the Great Lakes, or in the big pond, or there's plastic, there's pollution, there's stuff floating on the water, and it's definitely a need everywhere. We know that for sure.
We talked with you, I believe it was earlier here in the week, and you were talking about you did a lot of saltwater fishing. Do you see? I've not been out on the oceans in a boat, but do you see a lot of that while you're out there fishing?
Oh yeah, hands down. Obviously the closer you get to land, the more prominent it is. No matter, I don't think I've ever been on a trip and not seen a piece of debris floating somewhere. One of the things with us, and especially, fishing in the South, I've been thousands of miles offshore in a center console boat, and I've seen debris, and I've been, a mile and a half from the shore and seen debris. But sometimes the debris, though, can have marine life. One of my favorite fish of all time is a triple tail. And, if there's a box floating, if there's a 5-gallon bucket floating, if there's a piece of paper floating on the water, we're stopping, we're checking it out, especially if the conditions are right time of year. Because, if you can get a 22, 24-inch triple tail, something pretty good size right there, it's one of the best eating fish you can ever have.
Okay.
Nice.
So
just a piece of advice for you if you do see some debris. And stop and pick it up. It's good to pick it up, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nothing worse than around here, going around the state park over there when I'm walking around the lake, and whether it be, today I saw diapers, wrappers, old.
Well, what about the biggest thing? And I tell everybody this all the time, especially if you live on a body of water, you're close to a body of water, or you care about a body of water, do not release balloons. Balloons are the stupidest thing you can release if you live on the coast, if you live on a lake shore, if you live on anything, because all that balloon is going to do is go pollute something that is not biodegradable, and it can just cause a whole lot more harm than good.
Absolutely.
And fishing line's another one I see a lot of. People discard their fishing line all over the place.
We have tips. We have maintenance tips on our website, maintenance.yamahaoutboards.com, talking specifically about checking your prop for fishing lines. Easiest way to spin a hub is to get fishing lines stuck around your prop.
Yep, and it's easily done.
Yep.
The one thing over at our state park, they've got these tubes right at the boat launch, and it's for people. And it says, "Dispose your old fishing line. Ball it up and put it in this tube so they can collect it. And it doesn't wind up in the water. Something that simple."
Yeah.
So.
You know what? I think we've talked about iCast. We've talked about sustainability. What Yamaha is doing to help the environment, help people out. I think we need to take the rest of the show, which is probably about a segment and a half. How about we dive into Brad and John and get a little bit to know them?
Because we won't go too deep. We did that before the show.
we like.
I seem to be picking up some static on my iPad.
And you got Tim Cias from West Virginia who says "Go Braves." Okay, but anyways.
Well, Mike, Dan, before we start that segment, can I give a shout out to my the Ostrander clan?
Absolutely, go right ahead.
That's right. We found out, Brad. We actually found out before we started the show that he
drinks pop.
That he drinks pop, and he not only drinks pop, but he drinks Vernors, and Vernors is made here in Michigan.
Okay, I don't know what Vernors is, but I'll take your word for it.
It's good stuff, man. It's good ginger ale.
It cures all.
So yeah. Go ahead, John. We'll give him a shout out.
Well, just want to give a big shout out to the Ostrander clan around Millington, Vassar, Frankenmuth, and Saginaw, and Buck, Suzette up in Levering. Hope to see y'all soon.
So, do you want to start it with that? He's got connections here in Michigan.
You got the connections here in Michigan. So let's start with you and kind of give you a little bit of a background of you. Obviously, you've been out fishing. You've caught some fish and been out there. I know that it'd probably be a problem, but we like to ask our interviewees a few questions that we just kind of throw at you, and they're simple. It's like, I know you guys travel, so you're probably in a vehicle, you're driving along, and what is like for you? What is like your favorite radio station, or what are you listening to on the radio to start off the trip?
John, take that
it's
one first.
Probably alternative from the 90s.
Okay, 90s alternative.
First wave.
All right.
We're starting to hear more of that in the last couple months. There's a trend going here, it seems like. You're not the first person to say that. That's
exactly. So okay. So Brad, give you that question, the same one. What are you listening to?
I usually turn it on Radio Margaritaville, and whether it's Kenny Chesney or George Strait or maybe something else, or obviously Mr. Jimmy Buffett. That's usually my first go-to when I'm picking up a rental car from an airport.
Okay, with that being said, I've got a picture of where you're actually sitting right now in your tiki hut. Dude, you got to explain this. I mean, this is cool.
Well, there goes the last parts of the segment.
So I am sitting at a place called the Deep End Tiki Bar and Chill. Basically, it's as it like to be coined, the #1 rated tiki bar in all of Dallas, Georgia. Yeah! And there's some folks that will also agree with that.
Okay.
And, we've had some endorsements out there in the past, and it's just my backyard spot for hanging out and jumping in the pool.
It looks like a lot of fun. I think Danny and I, we make a trip down there. We're going to have to come down and have a cocktail with you. Sit there.
There you go. I got VIP memberships waiting on you.
There you go. That's all good. So
and with that, we'll start you off on this next question, Brad. You're listening to your favorite radio station, Margaritaville. There, obviously.
All right.
But you need a snack. What kind of snack are you reaching for? Well, you got to have that go-to snack, whether it be on the road or you're sitting at the tiki hut. What kind of snack you're reaching for? What's your favorite snack?
That all depends. If I'm on the road, it's a little bit different because you got to grab something quick and ready to go. I'm a combos type of guy on the road. I know they're not good for you.
Which flavor?
Combos are. I like the pretzel and the pizzeria pretzel ones. Those are pretty good. But if I'm sitting at the house and there's the type of snack, some shrimp or some crab legs or some fish dip or something like that. That's I just knocked out my thing here. That's kind of my go-to.
Gotcha.
Some sort of seafood or fish dip or something like that, or some peel and eat shrimp. Some of that's not bad either.
Okay,
right,
John.
John, you're up.
Well, first question is, am I in a rental car or am I in my car?
You're reaching for your favorite snack. We don't care.
There is no favorite snack in my car. If it's a rental car, maybe beef jerky.
Okay.
Buc-ee's. He loves his Buc-ee's beef jerky. Don't let him lie to you. If anybody's ever been, in Texas or down in the South, everybody knows about Buc-ee's gas station. John loves him some Buc-ee's beef jerky. I know that.
You guys spent some time together on the road before. I can tell.
Yeah. A day or two.
Yeah.
And if I can't get Buc-ee's beef jerky, I tend to travel with a salt lick, so that'll hold me over.
Oh, all right, Danny. Next question. Get us out of this.
What I'll do is I'll give you a couple questions that have come over. First one, Charles Byram, who's from Iowa, but he has seen 100 miles out of the Los Angeles harbor all the way down to the offshore of Cabo, and everywhere in between, he's seen balloons. So you're right there, and.
He's also seen some probably good tuna fishing out there too. Yeah. Cabo San Luca and the Catalina wine mixer that they talk about on Step Brothers, that's a real thing. And the fishing, the tuna fishing out there, I've heard is unbelievable.
Nice. So, and Charles Byram said not boiled peanuts down there in Georgia.
Oh, we get boiled peanuts everywhere at the gas station. I mean, that's just kind of.
That's a standard.
That's a standard.
Making toast for breakfast in the morning. Yeah, of course.
Danny looked at me. He doesn't know what that is. I do. But
well, here's the thing, though, guys. Georgia has a couple ugly secrets. They try to take credit for being the peach state. The best peaches come from South Carolina, and when it comes to peanuts. The Georgia peanuts are good for peanut butter, but if you're going to be eating peanuts, you need Virginia peanuts.
Oh, man.
Tim Cius is going to go off, yeah.
But
John, tell them where you're from and where you went to college at, too.
It just happens to be,
Virginia
just a coincidence.
A coincidence, right? Actually, I do have an actual question for you, John. The question is... what are you doing with the current administration to help out with the natural resources?
Well, this is something I will say, and I hope folks don't see this as political or partisan, but the Trump administration has done a phenomenal job when it comes to working with the outdoor industry. Mm-hmm. They have done a tremendous job balancing conservation and access. They listen. They're not rubber stamping everything, but the door's open and they listen. And we have been very fortunate to work with Secretary Ross in his office quite frequently, Fish and Wildlife Service. So like I said, they have done a very, very good job to be open to hear competing arguments, and whether or not they give us what we want, at the end of the day, we know that they have listened and have given it full consideration. So they do deserve credit for being very, very good to the industry.
Okay, well that's actually good to hear.
I'll tell you what, you want to go see some action, go on Donald Trump Jr.'s Instagram page right now. You'll see him yesterday. He was out fishing with one of my buddies, Captain Alex, down in Fort Lauderdale on a 55 Sueños with, I think he has quad XTOs on the back of his boat, but him and his kids were out fishing yesterday. He's a big, I'm sure you guys know it in the hunting industry. He does a lot for the hunting industry. And,
absolutely.
Obviously, I don't see the president too much out there hunting and fishing, but I tell you what, I see his son out there, and his son fights for it. And, I believe that, they have the best intentions when it comes to the average American getting access to public resources.
Yeah. He was, I seen a hunt he was on with Kuyu outdoors. They're doing some big sheep hunting up in somewhere in Alaska. They're doing a big hunt up that way, but he's quite the outdoorsman, I will say that.
And I tell you what, half the issue is getting in there to let somebody listen to you. And if they're then more than willing to let you guys come in and talk, you got your foot in the door. I tell you what, that's a lot better than staring at a closed door.
Absolutely.
Well, here's the thing: it's not that they just have the open door; they're going to industry players. Secretary Ross was down at Maverick Boats a little over a week and a half ago to hear the industry's concerns over the red snapper season in the South Atlantic, as well as other things affecting the boating industry. But they're coming to the industry players. I can't stress enough how much they deserve credit for being accessible.
That's awesome. That's good to hear, and I hope it continues. I really do.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that having you guys at the forefront, whether Yamaha leading the charge, getting in there, telling them what needs to be done, or can be done, or needs to be done, or we're going to face this is awesome. That's
and leading the way, doing the cleanup.
Leading the way. So, you know what? I think that's a great answer to end this segment, because we still got a couple questions we got to ask you. We're not going to let you get out. Right. That's why we got another segment. So let's step out and we'll go for our final break.
All right, we'll be right back after this.
Acceleration is part of PSE's DNA. PSE pioneered the speed movement. Now they've developed the vapor category to help you find the most powerful bows on the market to fit you.
High speed equates to intense power and building the momentum you need to be successful. Are you a vapor shooter? Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back. Fourth segment of the show, last segment. So we're kicking back, having a little fun, asking questions. Danny's got them lined up, ready to go.
We asked the favorite radio station. We asked the favorite snack. Which one should we give them next?
Your choice.
My choice? I'm kind of hungry. All right, you guys. Mike and I are knocking on your front door, or Brad, maybe we're sitting at your tiki bar. John, you can go first this time. Your favorite meal that you would cook for us, whether it be fish, venison, wild game type meal, and you guys say, hey, Mike and Dan, I'm going to cook you this.
Wow, that's a good question. It's going to be on the grill, I'll tell you that.
I like it already.
Most likely it's going to be salmon from Alaska.
Okay.
And done on the grill with a little bit of, how's it prepared? Is it just on the grill?
A little bit of olive oil, a little bit of thyme, and let the natural flavor speak for itself.
Nice. I like that. Okay. All right, Brad. Sitting at your tiki bar, you're going to feed us.
If you're coming to my tiki bar and I'm going to feed you, we're going to have some fresh caught swordfish and we're gonna have stone crab, which are some Florida delicacies. That's being a Florida guy, that's where I'm originally from, and that's what I like to serve a lot of, especially Christmas time. We're cooking the swordfish on the grill. All you need, a little bit of lemon, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. That's it. Cook it just like a steak. A couple minutes on each side, done. And
Excellent.
then with the stone crab, if anybody's never had stone crab before, they're one of the most expensive crabs you'll find out there. We've got, some jumbos. I've had some as big as my hand right here. And, those go for $60, $70, $80 a pound, depending on the prices of them. But you get them at certain times of the year in Florida, and you harvest one of their claws, throw the rest of the stone crab back. It grows back the claw. And we're going to steam them and then chill them in the refrigerator for a couple hours with some mustard sauce.
So that really is a renewable resource.
Yep, it is a renewable resource. Yep.
Is that the picture you had on your Instagram page?
Yeah, I've probably got one. I went out with Captain Nick Stanzik, who catches swordfish, ironically, and we got blown out. So his wife had a bunch of stone crab traps, and it was one of them. We go pull stone crabs down there.
Okay,
we got a picture of it, and we're showing it right now. But
yep,
that's awesome.
If you slide over, there's a couple more. If you scroll down a little bit, at Miami Boat Show this year, I got about 30 pounds of stone crab or so brought in from some of my friends in the Bahamas, and then my buddy Alfredo down in Key Largo brought a stone crab for everybody at Yamaha that's never had it before.
Nice.
And put it on a couple big trays, and the scrolling to the right is the picture of the big stone crab.
Very
with my name.
Did you all ever see the movie Goodfellas?
Yeah, all time favorite.
And the prison scene where Hank Hill is
they're all
coming in with the boxes of provisions and lobster tails.
Yeah.
That's Brad about every other week in the office. Somehow, some way, he's rounded up
job security.
Whether it's stone crab or what have you, it's incredible.
Well, I know for a fact if Brad gets up here, we will try to find him a way to catch a walleye.
I was about to say, I've yet to catch a walleye. If you on the bucket list.
If you catch a walleye, then we'll find a grill and we'll grill it up. Now, there's a couple of different places, depending on where you can go up to the Saginaw Bay or you can head to the river. Yeah. Depending on when you're up here is the best time to go for that. But if you make it up here, I'll find somebody to get us a trip out there and we'll go catch some walleyes.
I think you need to get a hold of your cousin. Let's take him fly fishing on Lake St. Clair for muskie.
Well, that
hey now.
Well, you don't want to.
I told you guys, I was on Harner's Island.
Harson's Island.
Harson's
Island. I was on Harson's Island this time last year, and I watched all the walleye guys float by me, and then I'm like, all right, they're drifting, all right, so let me throw it up there, and then they kick on that motor and go back up, and then they float by me again and everything, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do this, and all I'm thinking of is Kid Rock and catching walleyes from the dock and up in northern Michigan, and man, I watched a bunch of boats drift by me, and that was about all I watched.
My brother does a lot of fishing off of Harson's Island. So.
It's a beautiful, that area right there is so beautiful, and to be so close to Detroit and, all the mile roads and everything, and just kind of to be a short drive away and kind of be out there in the country and the sticks. And
that's what's cool about Michigan. You can be in the pavement city and you just drive a short distance. You can be on water. You can be in the woods. I mean, that's one beautiful thing about this state for sure.
All right. Another question for you gentlemen. Let's see, whose turn is it? It's Brad's turn.
All right.
Thinking back, whether it be fishing, whether it be hunting, what is a moment in time you remember that has hit you that you're going to tell us about? Whether it be a first fishing trip, first hunting, something. What moment in that time are you going to tell us about?
Let me tell you, I've fished all over the country and all over the world. I've caught a lot. I've been offshore, thousands of miles offshore. I've fished with pros. I've fished against legends of, I fished against Michael Jordan, stuff like that. One of the best memories ever is me putting a jig head on a barbie pole and putting a small piece of shrimp about that big on a barbie pole and watching my daughter at the time next to and down in the Keys throw it into a little canal by herself, turned it, let it click, a little Shakespeare, a little Zebco, a little push button, and she sit there, looks at me, Daddy, I did it right. All of a sudden, her arm starts moving, and she caught a little mangrove snapper about this big, and she reeled it in and everything. And, I've got a picture of it. I still have it and everything. And she gave it the old Bill Dance kiss and everything.
Those moments are priceless, and you only get those glimpses every now and then, especially when you're young.
So a fish that big is one of my most memorable moments.
That is awesome. That is way cool.
Yeah. Now, you had to have a tear in your eye?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And still to this day, I mean, we went fishing this morning, and she's 4 now, and she still goes, Daddy, you remember that fish I caught down in the Keys? I said, yeah, baby, I do. She, and it gets bigger every time she tells the story. And
of course, that's the way fish stories are, right?
So she's already hooked on fishing. Yeah.
That is awesome. That is so cool. My grandson I took up north 3 weeks ago, and he'll be 4 in August, and we were fishing out of the trout pond, and he caught his first fish, a nice little brookie.
Oh, that's awesome.
And, you could hear him screaming and giggling for a mile. It was awesome. So I'm right with you. I know how that is, but with your own kids, first whatever. So
yeah.
All right, John, you're up.
Well, to be fair, I have not fished anywhere close to the number of times nor places that Brad has, but and I don't know if it's just that I'm getting older, but I'm reflecting on things that I was fortunate enough to do with my parents. And at some point when I was a young child, we started going down to the Outer Banks of North Carolina. We'd at least try to get down there once a summer, and several times during those trips, Dad would grab me and my brother, and we'd head on down to the Avalon Pier, and we'd spend a day just fishing off the pier. And I can't tell you what I caught, what I didn't, but it was some of the best times, best memories. And I can remember just being so excited that this morning's the morning we're going fishing. I can't wait to go pier fishing. And, that has stuck with me for 50 plus years. It's just a great memory and something that I always have with my father.
Absolutely. That's a great one, especially on Father's Day.
Absolutely.
Well, here's the thing, and you notice when you talk to folks, they always have some type of story, whether it's Brad with his daughter, there's something that takes them back to their childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And that love of fishing gets set at some point when they were a child.
Yep.
You got that right.
And it sticks with them.
Well, that's why we always ask this question, because what it boils down to is the outdoors is making memories with family, whether you're young or old. It's those treasured moments that you never forget about. And you can't explain it. You can't explain it, and you can tell the story to a lot of different people, and there's sometimes they get it and others don't. And the ones that don't, that's the ones who we need to bring into the fold and show them about the outdoors so they can have those memories as well. Because like you said, John, once that happens, they're hooked. You're hooked on it, whether it's hunting, fishing, trapping, canoeing, hiking, camping, whatever. It's those memories.
Now, John, were you guys using dugout canoes, or was at that point plastic around, that type of stuff around?
Oh, man.
No, they were woolly mammoth bones.
Wow. Wow. I can tell you two spend a lot of time together. That's good. That's good.
He remembers when they switched from sail to steam. So.
Oh, Yamaha was probably a crank, and then they went to a rope. And
I'm not getting in this one.
I'm not either. I'm not either. But anyways, we got one more question. I can't remember what the last question is. Favorite story, favorite food, snack. Is that 5?
That's 4.
4. We're missing one.
I don't remember right offhand.
These guys have taken us down a great road tonight, and you guys, I want to, for what you guys are doing at Yamaha, and whether it be on the social media side or you're at iCast talking to your people out there that work with Yamaha, making them a better business for the customer, getting them a product out there that's got reliability, it's got everything to it. To John, where you're working the government side, helping cleaning up the shores, or you're sitting there talking to people in Washington or on the state government side, getting them in the right direction. It just goes to show you what a company can do for a 360 type of operation. Not only can they do it from A, but all the way to Z.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
And that just speaks volumes. You know, you see other companies doing things, trying to do maybe something with environmental aspects, but like I said, the outdoorsmen, the people, the outdoorsmen or the outdoor companies are truly the ones that really are at the forefront. You know, you go back to Teddy Roosevelt, you know, with his big initiative and push for modern game and wildlife management and forestry and all that. And it's come down to where companies are taking that lead and taking it and running with it. And I want to say thank you first off. I mean, because, you know, sometimes we feel small on an individual level. We can't do anything, but we've got companies like you guys that are getting out there and leading the charge. And I just want to say thanks.
I tell you, I'm going to disagree with that last little statement because I'm the same way. I feel like I'm just a pond hopper and boat hopper from East Central Florida, but it's the companies you support, and it's the fact that we have owners that are willing to buy our products and willing to, you know, invest in us. We're able to take those funds and move them to better our owners, you know, experiences down the road. And whether they are our current owners now or they're our owners in the future, you know, we're all fighting for the same thing, and that's, you know, the ability to get out on the water and have access to the water.
Well, there you go.
And you know, just to close on what Brad's saying, our president stresses that our efforts are just the price of being a premium product. Mm-hmm. It's expected of us, and it needs to be delivered. If we're not taking care of our customers, there's someone else that'd be happy to take them.
Right.
Yep. Exactly. So.
But you're taking that extra step. You're not only taking care of the customer, you're taking care of the environment we play in as well. And to me, that speaks volumes.
But once again, it's access. They don't have fish. They don't have a way to get to them. You know, you take care of the people that are taking care of you.
Absolutely.
Yep, and that really is what it boils down to.
Well, guys, it's been a great hour plus here. I tell you what, we're going to go ahead and we're going to wrap up the podcast portion. If you guys would hang on a minute, we'll stay on the live stream for a few minutes. But for those of you on the podcast, Danny, who we got next week? Do we have anything scheduled yet?
We're going to have somebody. We just don't know who.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we'll be back again. Yeah, appreciate it. We'll be back again next week. For those of you on the podcast, make sure you go over to our social media pages. Give us a like, give us a share, give us a follow. And if you go over to iTunes, give us a review over there. That helps us as well. And don't forget to support the people who support us. And
if you get over to YouTube, subscribe, and you'll see the show reposted there on Wednesday.
There you go. All right, that'll do it for us this week, folks. We'll be back again next week. This episode was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Buck Bait,
Better the Hunt,
Rebel 6 Rubs and Seasonings,
Easy Cut,
Lim Walker Game Call,
Hunter's Blend Coffee,
Packer Mac,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Scent Blocker,
Scent Lock,
Copper John,
and Stanislavski Release Aids.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. Until next week on the Up North Journal.